finish out. To do some trimming in order to get our tires to fit 37 by 13 inch tires. So we had to trim the backside and we had to do some trimming on the front side, and they clear really well on this driver's side, but now we have to figure out how to match it to the passenger side. And I think we have a plan. It's just gonna take some tape and a razor blade and a little bit of primer. Here's our big sheet of paper that we have taped onto the side of the truck. We just followed the factory line, the body line that goes down the square bodies. I'm gonna get a razor blade and I'm gonna trim around that fender opening, so as whenever we take it off, we'll just move it over to the other side and it should match up nearly perfectly. Someone commented on the other video that I make this look easy. Well, here you go. I did not make that look easy. I'm gonna have to fix that with some tape. Let's keep going in the other direction. So this is what I'm talking about with Louisiana humidity. It's ridiculous. Okay folks, I'm fixing my mistake down here where I went a little bit too wide. So I take the paper back down and I'm gonna run this blade on here. So let's go ahead and move it on over to the other side. And we have our template taped on the passenger side, and you can see how much now that we need to cut. Right here you can see that it is cut. That's the initial cut that I made, and my son said no, that's disgusting, we're not doing that. So we taped off another line, cut it on the driver's side, and this is what we agreed on, and we think it looks pretty good. So that's the back side of the fender. And then on the front side of the fender, we have to trim both sides because these 37s and the amount of lift that we have, it wants to eat in the front and the back. So we're gonna trim that there also. All right, so we took some primer. This primer right here. We took some primer. This is just happened to be the only primer that I had, high temperature primer. I sprayed on the edges. I sprayed along these edges really gently. It shrunk up because I used the heat gun to dry the primer. So, but you can see how it left the line of where I need to cut in the rear of the fender and on the front side of the fender. So those lines, let me pull this off. I don't want to destroy my template yet, just in case something goes wrong. And there it goes. There is our cut lines. That's what I need to follow whenever I run the cutting wheel across there. I might get a black marker and follow that gray line just to make it a little bit more visible. And on the front side. And that is our new wildcat that showed up, Minerva. We call her Minerva because she gets on my nerva. All right, gentlemen, let me know how I did. This is the driver's side. Here is the passenger side. I think they look pretty close to the same. Anyone who's walking by the vehicle wouldn't be able to tell any difference between the two. And now the fenders are trimmed on both sides. And I know some of you are thinking, great job. You did a great job at turning your fenders into razor blades. But I have a plan for that also. We are going to cover these sharp edges. I have some steel that I plan. Oh, let's not just put a tag on there because that's tacky, huh? So as you see here, I'm gonna take some plate steel, put it on there, trim it out, and close up this gap. And we'll have something nice. Let me just do it and show you. And this is what I've done. I've taken that little sheet of steel and tack welded it onto the fender, traced it out with a marker, and then I'm going to trim it out along this line. Now, on the back side, you can see it does not look good, but I'm gonna measure out about 1 inch and then trace it down so as it will follow the rest of the curvature of the fender. My first cut is done. I cut along the line that I showed you a minute ago. Actually, it's not even been a minute, has it? So that looks good. And on the inside, I hope you can see that line, that scratch. I scarred a line across it with the dial caliper with this. So 1 inch, and I just scarred a line across it. I'm gonna use my paint pen and mark that line so I can see it and cut it with my angle grinder. And there it is. The razor blades have been removed. This is the rear section of the fender and the front section of the fender. I will do both sides this way, the driver's side and passenger side. Somewhat finished, but from here you see where it's going. And I just need to fill in the rest of this with some weld. I'm gonna put enough weld wire in there where I can grind it and shape it to the same type of edge of the factory edge. If I put enough weld in there, I can round it off and make it look very close to the factory edge.